Hello, everyone. My name is Cole Snyder, and welcome to the first episode in a series which I am calling Quarkus-101. I'm a software developer by trade, and you can find me around the web by the handle of The Funk. On this channel, I hope to cover a wide range of software development and tech-adjacent content, and per usual, if you enjoy my ramblings here, please consider giving me a like and a subscribe. This series aims to cover the basis of the Java Quarkus framework, and for this series I will assume you have some familiarity with the Java language and know the basics of some Java build tools such as Maven or Gradle. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Quarkus is a relatively new back-end web framework, having released its first version at the start of 2019, but it has matured a lot since then. As a framework, Quarkus's goals are to be cloud native and to move dynamic processing that would be typically done at runtime to build time. This shift allows Quarkus applications to start faster, run leaner, and generally affords better optimization before your product is ever shipped. For more information, visit the Quarkus website at quarkus.io. With that background info, let's move on to our demo. Before we begin, all of the code for this demo series will be available on my GitHub at github.com/the-funk. I'll leave a link in the bio. There are a few ways to bootstrap a Quarkus project, and we'll look at two here really quickly. The first way is to use the Quarkus website itself. From the main page, click on Start Coding at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Once you close the pop-up on this screen, you should see an interface that looks like this. The first three options on the left here relate to Java application packaging. The group ID, generally speaking, is your company or personal website domain backwards. You can really use anything here, so if you don't have your own site, don't worry. I'm going to use my company domain, gmork.tech. Backwards, that's tech.gmork. The artifact ID is the name of your specific project. For this series, I want to build an application to monitor the CPU and RAM utilization of a few different microservices. At the same time, I'm going to have that information dumped into a time series database, where we'll be able to query records and perform aggregations. For these reasons, we'll name this project Microservice Observability Tool. That's a little long though, so we'll shorten it to Observe. The last section on the left here is the build tool section. In the near future, I plan to make a few videos covering build tools such as Maven and Gradle, but for now, let's just select Maven here. On the right-hand side, we'll leave version as is. This is the version of our project. And for Java version, Quarkus currently supports Java 17 and Java 11, both of which are LTS versions of Java. My assumption is that Java 21 support will be coming soon, as 21 will be an LTS version, with a lot of major performance improvements such as support for lightweight virtual threads. In my mind, this feature alone will be a game changer for Java API performance. We'll use Java 17 for now to get the latest LTS features, and we can always upgrade to 21 later when and if support is announced. Lastly, there's a section for starter code. By selecting Yes here, any extension we add to our project with the starter code badge will include some example code to help us get started. For those of you that learn by example, this makes Quarkus really easy to just pick up and start learning. Now let's go over a few extensions and talk about what each one does and decide on which to bring into our project to start. Once again, I intend to have more videos to cover the basics of these things for y'all, but for now let's select some extensions and take a 1,000-foot view of what each one does. Since part of what we'll be building is a RESTful API, we'll need support for HTTP. If we intend to offer any resources via HTTP, we're going to want to bring in the REST-Easy Reactive extension. The REST-Easy Reactive extension is a little interesting in that it is a reactive extension. This means it has top-tier support for asynchronous code and also provides back pressure and other neat features that can be very helpful when designing software for throughput around non-blocking I/O. To send data to a client or consumer service, we'll need to deserialize requests and serialize responses to some sort of line format. The most commonly used format for that today is JavaScript object notation, aka JSON. If we intend to work with JSON, we'll want to bring in an object mapping library like Jackson, so let's go ahead and add that too. Lastly, if you recall from earlier, I said Quarkus is focused on being a cloud-native framework, so let's add one more extension here to produce a container image for us. The extension we will add is called Jib. Jib is a plugin built by Google for our build tool. Jib will allow us to automatically generate container images without ever writing a single Docker file. With these extensions selected, we can click Generate to create a zip of our bootstrapped project, and then we can extract this zip and open the project within our IDE of choice. If you're like me, and you prefer to do things out of your IDE, another way we can bootstrap our project is through plugins for popular IDEs such as VS Code or JetBrains' IntelliJ. I personally use IntelliJ for my Java development because out of the box it comes with everything, including the kitchen sink. Although this comes with the trade-off of a slightly heavier IDE, I prefer spending less time configuring my development environment and more time coding, so this trade-off is an acceptable trade-off for me. To bootstrap a Quarkus project in IntelliJ, open your IDE and select New Project. From the Generators menu on the left, select Quarkus. From here we can name our project, choose where to store it locally on our machine, tell IntelliJ to automatically create a local Git repository for our project, choose which language we'll be working in. Quarkus projects can be written in Java or Kotlin if that's your jam. Choose your build tool. Specify our package's group ID. Specify our artifact ID. And choose which locally installed JDK we wish to use. Another great thing about IntelliJ is that if you haven't installed a JDK, it will offer to install one for you. Here we will develop with our default Java 17 JDK. Lastly, we can check this box to say we want to include sample code, which as I mentioned earlier, can be really helpful if you're new to Java and Quarkus. With these details populated, we'll click Next and select our extensions just like before. We'll select Rest Easy Reactive, Rest Easy Reactive Jackson, and Container Image Jib. Then all we have to do is click Create. And our project is ready. That's all for this episode. Stay tuned and I hope to see you in the next. Thanks.